People were particularly worried about the cost of energy and also groceries. So again, such universal things, like we all have to heat our homes, we all have to eat. So these things are affecting everybody.
Being in problem debt can drive these feelings of anxiety, depression, and then this kind of feeling that, it's your fault. I think a lot of the time there's this kind of stigma around problem debt.
83% of respondents said that they had experienced debt at some point in their life.
It's a big number, though.
It's not your fault. It's going to happen to most people, and it's not something to be ashamed of.
So hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Pension Confident Podcast with me, Philippa Lamb. Last month, we spoke about what to do if you're worrying about money. This time, we'll be looking at what you can do if you're already in debt. We're all seeing the domino effect created by global and national events on our finances. True, our energy bills are now capped, but they're still a lot higher than last year. And of course, everyday life events will always be a factor. You might be out of work, about to retire, or going through a divorce, which can all play a part. So today, we're going to hear listeners' stories about their own debt struggles, and we're joined by two experts to talk about coping strategies. First, meet Chris Lees, who's a research officer at the Money and Mental Health Policy Institute. Hello, Chris.
Hi, it's good to be here.
And welcome back to PensionBee's own Chief Operating Officer, Tess Nicholson. She was with us for the last episode. Lovely to see you again, Tess.
Nice to be back.
Before we start, the usual disclaimer: anything discussed on this podcast should not be regarded as financial advice. And remember, when investing, your capital is at risk. Well, as I said, in episode 9, we spoke about the link between money worries and the effect that can have on your mental health. So if it's beyond the point of concern and you're actually at the point where your money struggles have got the better of you, then, Chris, surely that must put an even bigger strain on your state of mind. What kind of concerns are you coming across at Money and Mental Health?
People who are in problem debt, which you mentioned earlier, where people, are seriously behind on credit agreements and bill payments, and nearly half of those people have a mental health problem. So there's definitely that connection there. Being in problem debt can drive these feelings of anxiety, depression, and then this kind of feeling that, it's your fault. I think a lot of the time there's this kind of stigma around problem debt. So there's this belief that, it's the individual's fault, whereas, there's obviously a lot of different factors that are at play in society and the economy, etc. But that means that people, they really struggle to talk about it, whether that's with their friends and family, or then, actually seeking help from different organisations or actually speaking to their creditors.
How do we break that cycle?
But one of the things, is raising awareness of this connection between mental health problems and financial difficulty. So, for example, when people are getting treatment for their mental health problems, it'd be really great if there was this understanding for people about how that can impact their finances. But also then if, doctors, etc., or people in medical professionals then spot that maybe it's actually a financial driver, that they can then be kind of signposted or offered, support and guidance so that they know where to turn to. And then I think on the other side of that is then the role for creditors. So as I talked about, these kind of communications can often drive these, really negative feelings people can experience. So making sure that the letters you're sending out, the creditors are sending out, that they're clear, that they're easy to understand, that they're supportive, that there are links to where people can get support from and it's easy for them to get in touch. But also, then the training for frontline staff, because obviously a lot of people who are struggling with their finances will also be struggling with their mental health. So when they're ringing up, they're probably, distressed, and often maybe, they might get a bit angry because they feel like they're not being understood.
Yeah.
So frontline staff have this training to recognise, there is this connection and they know what to do.
Well, for today's episode, we wanted to hear from you, the listeners, on how you are currently coping financially. So before our recording, PensionBee reached out to its customers on social media and they asked people about their experiences with debt. So, Tess, what sort of responses did you get?
So the kind of headline number is that 83% of respondents said that they had experienced debt at some point in their life.
It's a big number, though. Was it higher than you thought? Yeah,
I think so, yeah. And it is very high, but I think it just goes to show what a universal problem it is, So many people will experience debt of some form at some point in their life. And and I think, we've talked a little bit about the shame that people feel around debt. And I hope that hearing that number helps some people to recognise that,
It's all
as
of
Chris
us,
was saying,
almost.
it's not your
Yeah.
fault. Like, it's going to happen to most people, and it's not something to be ashamed of.
Yeah, I mean, Tess, as you say, even if it's a tiny amount, which seems like almost a waste of time to be saving it, this is where compound interest comes in, isn't it? Even a tiny amount gets bigger.
Yeah. If you're not going to retire for 20 years, then even if you're contributing £20 a month, and you cut that down to £5 a month, that £5 has got 20 years to grow, and help provide you with a bit more support and income when you do reach retirement.
Chris, thinking about solutions, lots of us are not claiming the benefits and payments we're entitled to. This has always been the case, hasn't it? And right now, people really need to know what they're entitled to, don't they? What is the easiest way to find that out?
There's a lot of financial support out there for people, but people just don't know about it. And unfortunately, at the moment, there's so much placed on the individual to try and work out where to go to. But there are some great organisations you can turn to. So, for example, Citizens Advice, they have a lot of information on their website about eligibility for benefits, but also other kind of financial support and how you can access that.
They've got a benefits checker, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But quite a lot of websites have.
Yeah, the other the other organisation I was going to then say was Turn to Us, which has a benefits calculator and other kind of free tools on their website where there are other kind of things like essential service providers might have certain kind of offers in place or kind of financial support for people. I think there are tools on there that people can turn to see if they're eligible for those tools. So yeah, there are great organisations, but like I said, unfortunately, it is just left to the individual, to do that. So hopefully, there'll be more information out there as we move forward from the government and other kind of organisations just to raise awareness of where people can turn to.
And what advice do you give to people if the system is forcing them to seek work when they just don't feel mentally capable of doing that?
You'd hope that one thing we want to see is more training for frontline DWP staff, so that if people come to them and say that they're struggling with their mental health and it means that they can't work, that there is that understanding of how it impacts people. So hopefully we'll get into a place where people can feel free to kind of talk about their mental health, and also then when they're approaching employers, we often find there's kind of this kind of feeling that if someone has gaps in their employment history, which is due to mental health, that there is almost like a bit of discrimination going on there. Still, exactly. Yeah. So hopefully, employers will have more kind of training there and more kind of commitments to support people with their mental health.
And as Lynn was talking about, going through her finances and trying to figure out like where can she cut back, and if you're doing it regularly, then I think it's helpful for you to sort of stop yourself getting in too much debt, I think, because you're looking at it from earlier on. So I think even if you feel like your finances are in a good place, I think it's a good idea to be monitoring it in whatever way. You don't have to have a spreadsheet like mine, but to be monitoring it in whatever way works for you, so that you know what's happening, and it's sort of, I think it helps you to avoid that thing of hiding away from it all and thinking I'm just going to leave it and hope it fixes itself. We also had 50% or over 50% of people tell us that they were concerned about going into debt this winter, which again is a really high number. Yeah, and the things that people were particularly worried about there were, unsurprisingly, the cost of energy, and also groceries. So again, such universal things, like we all have to heat our homes, we all have to eat. So these things are affecting everybody, and we really saw that in the survey.